Morning, everybody. It's nice to see everybody here, and thanks for joining the Norwalk Workforce Development Quarterly Meeting. I see some familiar faces, some not familiar faces, but what impresses me the most is the fact that people come together for a common cause, and workforce development is perhaps one of the most important things that we can focus in to help our community grow and develop and help people within our community earn a livable wage. I don't think any municipality anywhere does it better than Norwalk of forming these collaborations, working together. Everybody has a skill set, everybody can contribute, everybody can work together with new thoughts and new ideas of how we can better the workforce development effort in the city of Norwalk, and I really appreciate it. So I want to thank Norwalk Acts for their partnership. Ria, thank you so much. And I want to say that, whether it's through educational institutions, workforce development organizations, or employers, when we connect the right people and the right resources, we can help open doors and create opportunities for more people so that everyone can thrive. And I really want to thank everybody for their time. I know time is very valuable, and you give up your time for this collaboration, and I, for one, truly appreciate it. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Ria. And again, thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to the City of Norwalk for also acknowledging the importance of investing in workforce development and making it a priority, and also being such a terrific partner. So I want to thank you for that.
We got Lamont Daniels. I don't think there's anybody better than him. And if you look through here, you see some of the people that work for the City of Norwalk, elected officials from the City of Norwalk, and that's what makes things work, when people come together.
That's absolutely key. Collaboration is key. Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to share my screen. So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Ria Henry. I am a workforce development coordinator, working on behalf of the city in partnership with Norwalk Acts. I'm really in support of our workforce development efforts here. This is our first quarterly meeting. Really excited to see everyone here today. If you could please drop your name and organizational affiliation in the chat, really appreciate that. So first, I'd like to go over today's agenda. So first, we had our welcome from Mayor Brilling. Thank you so much for that, Mayor. Then I'll be sharing a little bit about our workforce development efforts to date. Later in our session, we will have breakout sessions where we'll be discussing 2 different opportunities that we've had in the pipeline. So it's the referral resource guide and the job board. And after those 2 sessions, we'll then have a greater debrief. And then we're really excited to have a representative, Tracy Ariel, from the Office of Workforce Strategy, that'll be sharing with us about Career Connect, which is a statewide training initiative that is available to our Norwalk residents. So I really wanted to ground this conversation around this image, and what this image is. It is our workforce development ecosystem here in Norwalk. On the outer circle represents the various pieces of workforce development and the entities or organizations that are part of those pieces. So you have sector-specific skills training, career readiness, skills training, wraparound services, job placement, financial support, employer relations, and organizations that focus on employer relations. And so then we have in the inner corner, in the inner circle, job seekers, regional and state opportunities, and Norwalk area employers. And what I really see that as is this Norwalk Workforce Development quarterly meeting really functions as that inner piece. And the goal with this quarterly meeting is really to strengthen, collaboration and connection among these various different stakeholders that are part of this ecosystem. So I wanted to spend some time really talking about our workforce development challenges here in Norwalk. So our main challenge really is, there is employer-driven demand here in Norwalk for skilled talent. And because of inconsistent communication, alignment among these various stakeholders in this ecosystem, we have underemployment, lack of medium and high skilled talent, and below livable wages for our residents. And I think I really wanted to ground this point with these 2 statistics. So in 2020, the United Way of Coastal Fairfield County conducted a study and found that 43% of Norwalk households, approximately 14,500 households, were struggling to meet their basic needs. So these households fell below the federal poverty line or considered to be ALICE households. And so if you're not familiar with what the term ALICE means, it stands for asset limited, income constrained, employed. And so these are households where there are employed individuals, but they're not making enough to meet their basic needs. Another statistic that I think is, really central to the work that we've been doing is a study showed that the graduating classes from the Norwalk Public Schools from 2016 to 20, an average of 30% of those students did not enroll in a college or university within their first year after graduation. And so I think what's really important to our efforts is that we really want to provide these students with pathways and provide access to opportunities that are not a 2 or 4 year college, but can give them the credentials and the skills that they need to be, successful in the workforce, to have livable wage employment opportunities. So our goal really with our workforce development efforts is just really to create this infrastructure, a centralized workforce development infrastructure and strategy for Norwalk that'll meet the employer-driven demand that's here in Norwalk, that'll connect job seekers to the educational and employment opportunities that will ultimately lead to livable wage employment. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about our efforts to date. As I mentioned before, I'm the Workforce Development Coordinator. I came on board in September of 2022. As I mentioned before, it's a partnership with the City of Norwalk and Norwalk Apps. And since coming on board, I've had a lot of engagement with many of you that are on the call. Some of you I haven't met, but with training providers, social service providers, to really assess what our workforce development needs are here. Also, another function of my role is really to represent Norwalk at the state and regional level and ensuring that we're tapped into all those resources that are flowing down from that level and that our residents are accessing those opportunities. In December of 2022, we launched our Norwalk Workforce Development Steering Committee, and this committee is really comprised of those stakeholders that are in the various parts of workforce development in our ecosystem. So we have social service providers, we have training providers, we have, businesses or employers, just all the different entities that are part of this greater system, because as we all know, it takes all of us and all of our efforts to kind of be successful in workforce development and providing the opportunities that our residents need. So this committee really helps us to, provide strategic input and help us with our agenda planning as we move forward. So we launched that in December of 2022. Also in 2022, we were able to use these members of this steering committee to create working groups to work on different opportunities based on the needs that we heard from the stakeholders in the ecosystem, saying that we need this or we need that. And so we came up with these opportunities and we've co-created those, and we're going to be talking about those a little bit more in the breakout sessions. In January of 2023, we launched the first edition of the Norwalk Workforce Development Newsletter. If you are not subscribed to this newsletter, please subscribe to the newsletter. And what we heard is, a lot of people said that, we don't know what's out there. What are these different opportunities? There's so much out there. We just need a centralized resource that can really speak to what are the resources and funding and events and different opportunities and just things that are happening that are available to people. And so this is what this newsletter really functions as. And then it brings us to today, our first Norwalk Workforce Development Quarterly Committee meeting. This committee, I think, is really just a place or a forum for us to increase communication about what's really happening in workforce development, just so everyone is on the same page, we're all aligned in our efforts, but also to promote system collaboration. In our breakout sessions, I mentioned before, we'll be touching a little bit more on those two opportunities, which are the resource guide and the Norwalk job board. But we anticipate that those will be launched in March or April of 2023. So a little bit about these breakout sessions. First, there is the referral resource guide, which will be facilitated by our Michelle Condorino from Open Doors. She's the executive director, also a member of, these are all members of our steering committee, and also facilitated by Darlene Young from the city of Norwalk. She's the youth services program manager. This referral resource guide, to just clarify, is really a resource that will be on a dashboard that really displays all the different financial support, training, and education opportunities that are available to residents. And then the job board that will be facilitated by Fred Dimian, the CEO of Patu Solutions, and Brian Griffin, the president and CEO of the Greater Norwalk Chamber of Commerce. So the resource guide is really geared towards service providers and also training providers and educational providers. And the job board is really geared towards employers and residents, but you are free to join whatever group makes the most sense to you or that you're most interested in learning about. But at this time, we would like you all to select a breakout room and click to join to learn more about these different opportunities. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great time in your sessions and learned about those different opportunities. I think everyone's back with us now. I know we're a little strapped for time, but we're just asking you to bear with us for an extra 5 minutes as we invite, we're really excited to have Tracy Ariel from the Office of Workforce Strategy with us today. Thank you for joining us, Tracy. Tracy will be sharing a lot about our Career Connect program. That is a statewide program that our workforce development training initiative program that is available to our Norwalk residents. So really interested in learning about that. I know a lot of you on the call are as well. So I want to turn it over to Tracy. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. Do you have the PowerPoint or can I share?
You can share.
Okay, so thank you all for inviting me to be here today. I'm thrilled to be here to talk about Career Connect. Career Connect is a $70 million investment, ARPA investment to the state's workforce system, including the workforce boards and the community-based organizations, to bring a short-term training to every portion of the state. So let me share my screen. No, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yep.
does it say Career Connect?
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we did a competitive bid. A competitive bid process out to the state, saying we have the $70 million. We got $250 million in request back. We chose 19 programs. And this is the breakdown of the programs. We are 51% went to our community-based organizations, and the 49 went to the workforce boards. And really the intent of Career Connect is to reach those communities that don't traditionally or haven't traditionally been reached. And we know that the people in the community-based organizations are feet on the ground, talking to the people in the communities, and we wanted to make sure that this funding reached those communities and those people. Let me see if I can help. That's not going to do. All right. So the funding will support best practice short-term workforce training. I apologize, now I'm looking away. Job seekers and students will apply through a single statewide recruitment portal, which I will also go through the portal quickly because I know we're short on time. To show you what the portal looks like. And I will highly recommend that you go into the portal yourself. So we'll make sure you get a link so you can check it out. The Office of Workforce Strategy, or OWS, has put together an extensive marketing campaign. And we also, the funding to all the grantees also receive some marketing money to do, again, on the ground marketing. But we have a statewide campaign that's called the U campaign that has been going strong and doing quite well. Applicants, takes 2 pre-assessments. We'll have to fix that. Applicants going into the portal will take an assessment test. It is 16 questions long. It's called a skills inventory because it is not intended to be a barrier for people to go into the program and to any of the programs that we offer. it is intended for us to, the case managers, to be able to look at the person coming in and saying, okay, you might need some upskilling in math, you might need some upskilling in English. But it gives us a starting point with the candidate so that we know that we can ensure they're successful going through whichever program they go into. They are short-term certificate programs. They are in a multiple of disciplines, so manufacturing, IT, healthcare, bioscience, human services. We have programs for reentry. We're working with Ability Beyond, and have a program for persons with disabilities. So it really does run the gamut of what persons who go into the portal will have access to for training. These are demand-driven training programs, and they'll be based on schedule and scheduled based on employer needs. So every applicant had to, every grantee applicant that was awarded funding had to show employer commitment for hiring at the end of each of these programs. Employability skills training will also be embedded in the training program. So we know that employers have repeatedly for decades said, really just bring us someone who's willing to work, show up on time, understands what it means to be in the workforce. So these skills we are calling employability skills are embedded in all the programs. Every program completer will receive some kind of industry recognized credential. And some of the programs actually offer, 5 or 6 credentials as part of their program. And then we'll be tracking the outcomes for the participants out 12 quarters. We're still working on how we're going to do that because that goes a little outside our normal tracking, but the intention is really to find out if somebody goes into a program, are they still employed? If not employed in the same place, are they still employed in the same industry? So we can gauge success. So these are the communities that we had said that we wanted to make sure that all the applicants, all the grantees that put in training programs, these are the communities that we said that they had to show how they were going to reach out to them. This next screen is all of the programs. I'll share this PowerPoint with you because I know that's too hard to read. I can't read it and I have a giant screen in front of me. But yes, these are all the grantees and what they have to offer and what program and what industry. So for a person to be eligible for Career Connect, to go into the portal and sign up for a training program, they have to be legally allowed to work authorized to work in the United States, unemployed or underemployed, which means not currently connected to a full-time job that pays the same level of your education, skills, wage, and or salary earned previously, or you've obtained only episodic short-term or part-time employment. This definition is actually less stringent than that. Really, if somebody is working too late, and we had somebody come in who was working 2 full-time jobs to make ends meet, but and they only had a high school diploma. So it looked like they wouldn't be eligible, but the truth is that is not a family sustaining wage if you're working, 16, 18 hours a day in order to make ends meet. So that person was able to come to the program. We do ask for documentation, and that's listed here. So to make sure that a person is authorized to work in the United States. That's the one federal caveat. It is federal funding. So this is what our marketing campaign looks like. And I asked if, holler out, has anybody, because I can't see you, anybody has seen this out here? Say yay.
Yes, I have.
Yay. Okay, at least one. At least one.
Absolutely.
That's great. So we actually, we launched the portal with this You campaign. We did a soft launch in November. We did a full launch in January. We've had just about 3,000 people who have gone into the portal and began, registering for programming, for training rather. I'm going to do this real quick because the portal, I highly recommend you go into the portal. Like I said, I'll give you the link. Please, and please put test next to your name, or a case manager will actually reach out to you and ask you how they can help you. But if you're just looking through it, put Jane and put test next to it so that we can identify that you're a test account. All right. So the portal's a simple, you come in and you put your information in. You set up a profile. You can either upload a resume, but we know that some people don't have resumes. Or you can add experience. So you can go in and say, I've had this job and I've worked, at the public library for this. I use that as an example, but public library from this time to this time, and these are the skills, and it will give you a list of skills that you might have done. And you can just click them and add them to your profile. And then, or if you have no skills or you're not sure, there's a section that you can go no experience, and it will walk you through things that you might have done that would have given you some kind of experience. And then it builds a skills profile for you. So, so if you upload your resume and it says, here's the skills we think you have, you can then add in other skills that didn't show up that should have. This is the registration. If someone comes in and they already know what industry they're interested in, say, hey, I really want to go into manufacturing, they can select manufacturing. Then they say this is basically a self-attestation saying that they are underemployed to get the program started. And then let's go through here. These are just general questions. If somebody says, I don't have any idea what I want to do, then it will start to search for training based on their previous experiences. And then it will then link to that, the closest training to their workforce investment board. So a workforce investment board will reach out and contact that person. So the skills inventory looks like this. It is 16 questions. It is third grade and fourth grade reading and math levels. This is, again, not intended to be a barrier for someone to come in, but it really is intended for us to be able to, and I say us, but the case managers to be able to know where the person's starting point is, help them get some kind of skills boost in whichever area they might be deficient in, and so that they can be successful in whatever program they're going into. All right, so then we go through the next, oh, now it's working. The next steps of your roadmap, and it talks about updating your career passport. So somebody goes in, they take training, they get a job, and then 5 years later, we hope it's 5 years long, at least, they go in and they're looking for, additional employment opportunities or an upskilling opportunity. They can update their career passport. They can explore other careers, find learning opportunities. There's a resource page, which we are developing and putting more resources, statewide resources on all the time. Recently, we had the diaper bank come and speak with all the grantees. We'll put that resource up here. Let's see. I know I'm going through this very fast. Are there any questions? If there are, again, I can't see you, so just unmute yourself and say, hey, I have a question.
Hi, Tracy, I'll help you. There's Desiree and Carol have questions, and Desiree is first.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Yes, this isn't taking the place, obviously, of our CT Hires website, but is there going to be a link for one or the other if they are going to get something? Maybe they do need more training, maybe there is a WIOA connection, or do you want them specifically, if we share the link, we want them to use this and what you're proposing, what your grant has, the 19 different or what have you programs, without having a link then to CT Hires, to the Department of Labor?
Excellent question. We are actually working with the Department of Labor. So when somebody comes in, someone meets a case manager, and they say, hey, I've gone through this and I'm looking for training, the case manager will have them sign up in WIOA, in CT Hires, because we want those two platforms to be connected, and it will also help us track wage data. And then
Will there be an issue where the monies are coming from? Let's say someone is already eligible and getting WIOA training. Would they be able to do this in addition to?
Yeah, so we were able to braid funding. Absolutely. So if somebody's already in the midst of training or they're receiving services, but they come on the portal and they find something, absolutely, they'll be eligible.
Okay, that's good for me to know, because sometimes mortgage crisis already may be working, but may not be eligible for the Department of Labor's WIOA.
Right.
So this is an extra thing for us to use and have them.
Absolutely. This is, and it is the most open, lax, and I say as far as eligibility, open eligibility program I've ever seen. It's really the determination of what is underemployed. But again, that is so open that,
Thank you.
yeah.
I
We will
appreciate that.
also, we'll also share out, we did a basically a desk reference sheet that will go over the steps on how to enroll somebody in this and give you just a basic, understanding of each of the programs so that you have something in hand.
Okay,
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Okay.
So this isn't intended to replace anything. It really is to enhance what the state of Connecticut is already doing. It is allowing a one-stop place for participants, for people looking for employment, to be able to go into one place and then be fed to either the workforce boards or to their CBOs or community-based organizations. But we want to make sure, with a case manager, with a soft handoff to say, yes, we see you're looking for a job. How can we help you?
Tracy, you had Carol.
Yep.
Who had a question?
Hi, Carol from MPS Workforce Development. I wanted to let you know that I've included this programming and your link on our enrichment series, which is embedded on our MPS website for some time now, and also have shared it with different stakeholders in the district, including our 18+ scholars and our MPS families as well. So I'm getting the word out there as well.
I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Thank you. That's great.
Tracy, I had a question. So what's the starting salary for these partners in the program? So the folks that you funded, have we said, we know $15 is the minimum wage, but in Fairfield County, that's really not sustainable. I don't think that's sustainable, anywhere in the state of Connecticut, really. So are we requiring the employers to start at a reasonable, livable wage?
So we're not. We did not, it really is going to be, it depends on the skills that the person is getting. And then we are in continuous conversations about what a good job is, what it should be. And we are working with our employer partners in order to, inform them of what a living wage is for single and family in the state of Connecticut. But this grant did not require employers we didn't say you absolutely have to pay $19 an hour. We did not do that.
Thank you.
Our hope is that we get to a point where that will be understood. So.
Thank you.
So I know we need to conclude, and Tracy, I want to kind of give you a final minute to kind of conclude. And
okay.
We can't take any other questions at this moment, but we'll be sure to, we have all your resources, Tracy, the desk aid and this PowerPoint and everything. We've done it in our previous newsletter, and we'll get it out in our next newsletter too. So we'll be sure to share these out, and we're definitely going to find another time to get you in for longer to do a walkthrough. So just wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of finish up, and so we can conclude.
Well, so I'll just finish up with the portal is extensive. It allows a lot of opportunity for a person to discover what they're doing. And then we have this Career Connect flyer, which it sounds like you also have. So we'll make sure that you, if you don't, do you have the flyer too?
Yep.
Okay. I see Ben Stang invited me to be here. He's excellent. He probably shared everything beforehand. So I think I can unshare, right? Am I unshared already?
No, you're still
Oh,
sharing.
I'm stopped. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. So, so yes, that was a very quick, and I appreciate the extra time for you guys to listen to what we're doing for Career Connect. Career Connect, although is funded with these ARPA dollars, the intention is for it to continue on and continue to work with the current systems we have in place here to make, finding a job and finding training easy for people in every community. So thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Tracy, and thank you for sharing all that information with us. We're really excited about Career Connect. And I want to thank all of you for joining us for our first quarterly Workforce Development Committee meeting. I know we went a little bit beyond the time allotted, but you bared with us, and we really appreciate that. I just want to share a few next steps for us. So in our breakout groups, we were able to talk about those different opportunities and to get your feedback on that. And we really value that feedback because we're going to be incorporating that in the changes that we're going to be making to these opportunities for the final products. And then you'll be hearing pretty soon about the final products whenever they come out, hopefully within the next month or so. Just to echo again, if you aren't already subscribed to our newsletter, please subscribe to our newsletter. I'm going to drop it in the chat. A lot of these, resources that I mentioned before, such as the Career Connect information, is also linked in our newsletter. If you have any opportunities you would like to advertise, please feel free to reach out to me. Anything workforce development related, whether it's newsletter or not, please feel free to reach out to me as well. And we will be in touch about our next quarterly meeting as well. So I want to thank you all again for joining us and have a wonderful